Hey everyone, thanks again for joining Sweat Success Podcast. Man, I am so honored today to have a fantastic person on the show. You're going to get so much out of this. So get a pen and paper or a pencil and paper in case you got to erase and listen in to what this guy's got to say. He's the founder and CEO of Loud Rumor, and this is where the best gyms go to grow. Seriously, this guy gets results, 88% or close to 90 actually, growth on average for gyms in their first year when they're getting involved with them. He's worked with over 55, and correct me if I'm wrong, 55 franchises in 2,000 plus gyms. This guy literally gets shit done, and it just so happens to be the name of his podcast, GSD Show. He has an event every single year called the GSD Con. It's the #1 event for gyms and studio owners. Hundreds go to this thing each year. But more importantly, this guy that I'm about to speak with, okay, and so honored, like I said, to be on the show today. He's a family guy. He's a down-to-earth guy. He's a real person, and he doesn't stop learning, so much so he speaks 4 languages, maybe even more than that now. He's become a bit of a chess master. He's learning to play the piano. Maybe he's already Mozarted everything out. And I got to say, like I said, I'm totally honored to have this guy on the show. He's the one and only Mike Arce. He's on here today. Mike, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Michael. Excited to be here. Thanks for the intro, too.
It's all true. And by the way, are you speaking any other languages other than Spanish, Italian? What do you got? Obviously English and
English. I'm learning French right now.
French.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, I speak Jersey. I'm from Jersey, so that we had a whole different dialect over there. That's about it.
I tell you, when I was working for Matrix Fitness several years ago, one of my first gigs was, I remember, it was like I was on the job for a week and I had to fly out to Shanghai, China, and I didn't know anything about the culture and, other than what you can read up and what you can see on TV. And I get there and I ended up showing up alone because my boss at the time, who was one of the guys who hired me, he was supposed to meet me in San Francisco for connecting flights to Shanghai. And he didn't show because he was sick. So I got there, didn't speak a lick of the language, and I see guys holding up the sign, looking for him. And so that's who I'm looking for. And then he takes my bag and rushes to his car. And I'm thinking the guy's taking my luggage. He takes the bag because he's my chauffeur. So I'm got thrown into this thing, right? Sink or swim. But I got to tell you, when you're moving or traveling to other countries, I'm a big firm believer that you got to learn the language, or at least make every attempt to, because others see that in you, and then they're more kind, they're more, apt to kind of help you out if you need some help with some stuff. So is that why you pick up these languages?
No, not at all. I just like learning new stuff. It's fun for me, and I have no idea why, but I'm the only one of my siblings and family that my grandfather was like that, where he liked just learning random stuff. But the funny thing is what you were saying about learning the language, that doesn't just work with like actual languages, what people call for different countries, but even we just had our conference a couple days ago, GSDCon Money. So we do 4 different conferences per year. Each one's themed differently. So the one prior to Money was marketing. So it's all sales and marketing. This one was money. And one of the things we talked about was really becoming fluent in the language of business, which is accounting, small business accounting in particular, and understanding all the different ways you can pull different levers within your business on the financial side in order to be able to increase profit, increase revenue, decrease expenses. And the challenge is, I think a lot of small businesses aren't fluent. They know a few of the words, but they're not fluent enough to not only be able to have conversations within their own staff, but even with financial experts that may or may not be able to help them. And so we spent 2 full days on that. We brought incredible people on board. And that's one of the things that we're really focused on, is how do we get all the gyms that we work with and all the ones that we're going to work with to really become financially literate and financially intelligent. Because 2 of the top 5 reasons that people go out of business, businesses go out of business, is because it has to do with financial illiteracy. And so we know we've got to fix those 2 things.
That's a perfect segue into what I want to talk about. And I wish I knew you a lot earlier in life when I was, kind of moving forward into business. Yeah, I think this is common. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only guy in the world like this. But I went through, got my master's degree. I'm young. I think I know everything. And I move forward, get a job. And then I think that I want to start my own business. And I think this happens a lot for personal trainers, people just in the fitness industry. They want to open a gym because they like the fitness world. They like being in the fitness place. And they think it's easy. You can just move forward because now you're in this environment that is your hobby, or at least used to be your hobby. And now it's a real business, and you got to be watching your numbers. When I kind of first started, and I was completely financially illiterate, so much so that I got bad advice from some attorneys, and I got bad advice at the time. I didn't know it then. It was probably better advice than I could have given myself. But I remember having a tax liability of over $250,000 because everybody that I had on my team, they were all contractors. They were all 1099. And that threw a flag because we were bringing in so much revenue. And it wasn't something I was paying attention to. So that was a hard lesson to learn. Then the other time, talking about financial literacy is how to use your money properly. One of my first gyms that I opened, I just spent the cash on building the club, building the facility. I didn't really do a lot of research on, what kind of loans I could get or how I can utilize the money to leverage it to get something more, or to have an asset to leverage it to get something more. I wasn't doing that. And I spent several $100,000 out of pocket, actually close to $1 million on our first gym. So, I think those things are important. So if you haven't gone to GSDCon, if you guys are listening to this, look it up, be one of the first to register. I think he's got another one coming up in September, but definitely pay attention. November, sorry.
November 4th and 5th. And, one of the things that you said reminds me of something that my COO, Matt, said, which is brilliant. You had mentioned that, hey, a lot of people, they enjoy fitness. They love fitness. So they open up a gym, right? Well, I love food. It doesn't mean I should open up a restaurant, right? That's one of the things I heard him say once. And it's such a great analogy. It's true. Yeah. I love food. I love pizza. But it doesn't necessarily mean I love the business of pizza and everything that comes along with it outside of eating the pizza. And then we turn something that we love into a resentment.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the other stuff got in the way.
Yeah.
I actually had an employee of mine about probably 5 years ago. She told me she had a passion to go do this new fitness thing that she had found is called booty yoga. She's so excited about it. She said, "This is my passion." I go, "Are you sure it's is the business the passion, or is the workout your passion? Because if the workout's your passion, just go more times per week. But if the business is your passion, well, then go for it." And she said the business is. Well, she signed up. 3 weeks later, she ended up quitting already because she couldn't stand the business side of that particular industry, or at least maybe the culture of that company. And that just happens. And it's got to be very clear. And I was very close to making this mistake myself about 6 years ago. I love coaching. I've coached over 40 seasons of sports between all my kids. And I almost decided to open up my own youth sports program, my own youth sports company. And then I was like, you know what I really love doing is getting down on one knee, talking to a child eye to eye, coaching them, motivate them. That's what I love. What I don't want to deal with is the parents that feel like their kids, should have been moved to this team, or why is the field so far, negotiating
they're
with
playing
land.
for their kid, right?
Yeah, I just want to motivate the kid, right? So for everyone in here, maybe even employees of fitness studios and gyms that are listening to this or watching this, just because you love fitness or you love a type of fitness doesn't mean you should go to open a gym. Maybe be a part of the team where you get to do the part you love more than anything else. But once you start a business, you're no longer a fitness person. You're now a business person that just happens to serve fitness as your product, right? That's it. So, it was great point you made, Michael.
Well, I think you touch on something there too. Is really a passion. Your passion, I think, has to outlive the likelihood that other things are going to, be roadblocks along the way. And your passion has to be so strong that you don't get deterred by that you continue down that path and it doesn't matter what's in my way. I love this so much. I'm going to keep going forward, and I am going to open this gym. I am going to grow this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure it out and make it happen. So I have people that call me up. Okay. And this is why I'm so happy that you wanted to come on here, or you were willing to come on here, is that a lot of these gym owners, they get stuck. Okay. They overanalyze and then they get paralyzed, that, analysis paralysis thing. So it's just last week, I had someone call me up and they said, where do I start? And this person had been sick for like the past 3 days because literally overworked, spending all their time on coaching classes and working with clients and zero time on marketing. And to me, marketing is the whole thing. I mean, if people don't know even who you are or where you're at, your billboard's not up, you're not visible, they're not going to come to your place. If they don't know what you have to offer, or if you're not better than, more visually appealing than the other guys next door, they're not going to come in. And
right.
So what can someone do who's in that position where they just listen to these ads and they think these ads are telling them what they need to do? I said, have you ever tried any, offers or promotion? You got a marketing strategy? And no, this person didn't have that. And they said that they've been burned because they've tried advertisements on Facebook and Google and
the truth is most gyms out there haven't been burned.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, some have. They burned themselves.
So what can they do?
So
what can they do?
They say,
I totally agree with that.
First, okay. So you hear a phrase, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It costs money to be ignorant. And so one of the things that bothers me, and I've told my team, we will never be this. This is not something I want to do. I don't want our company to ever be this because I think it's the worst thing for them long term. It's to be the diet pill for marketing. And here's what the diet pill looks like. You've seen these ads. There's so many of them out there. Like, we will not only generate the leads for you, we'll call the leads for you, we'll book the leads for you, we'll do everything for you. All you have to do is sit back, collect, right? And that's a diet pill. Yeah. You don't have to work out. You don't have to diet. You don't have to do anything. Just take this pill and that's it. What happens when you stop taking the pill? What happens? And in reality, you get to a point where the pill doesn't work anymore. The truth is, marketing is a lot bigger than what a lot of people think. A lot of people think marketing is generating leads. That's not what it is. That's not what marketing's number one function is. The mission, the only reason it exists, the number one reason marketing exists is to increase revenue. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Increase revenue. That's all. That's our job. And do generating leads play a role in that? Yeah, it can. It doesn't have to be, but it can. There's a lot of ways to increase revenue. And marketing plays in all those areas too. So typically when someone says, hey, I want to hire a marketing agency. By the way, it's not bad to hire a marketing agency. It's smart. But anything that's smart can be dumb if it's dumb in a dumb way. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're not hiring the agency for the execution. They're hiring the agency for the strategy and the execution. And that could be deadly because that's not the way to do it. And that's where ignorance is expensive. So let's take it back and I'll explain what I mean. And then I'll show you how to do it right. And if anybody here wants to be successful with marketing, this is it. What I'm about to tell you, everything past this point. Okay. So number one is understand what marketing actually is and its main objective. So we already discovered its main objective, right? Increase revenue. Great. Okay. So now we have to go, what are the four main pillars of marketing? Because there's four. It's actually known as a 4Ps of marketing. You also hear people call it the marketing mix. Just depends on what you want, but it's the same thing. And that's price, placement, product, and promotion. But this one, promotion, is where everyone focuses. They think this is it. And by the way, not even all of it. Inside of promotion, there's other umbrellas. One of them is advertising. And under that one, there's another umbrella, and that's called paid advertising. And then underneath that one, there's another one called social media. So this is it, this one little piece inside of this monstrous thing. And that is what they think marketing is. So they delegate the marketing to a company that does this one little piece. And that's why when it doesn't work, they feel like the world's crashing, right? The agency's not delivering results. the world's like, that's why I'm failing, right? Nobody can get me leads. I can't get leads. If I could just get leads, then everyone would know how great of a business owner I really am. It's crazy,
I
right? When you
have to
think
admit,
about that.
I played victim at that point several years ago. I spent, in a very short period of time, I spent $60,000 with a group, and I got really nothing out of it. And it was because there was no strategy. I was hiring for that one specific thing that you're talking about. And, we did some Facebook ads, and we, did a few other things, and none of it aligned. None of the promotions were in alignment. And there was nothing that we could really follow up on. It was like, did it work? Did it not work? We don't know. It was just money spent. And when we didn't have the customers to prove that worked, it was like, well, they raked us over the coals. That's what they did. And until
they
later,
didn't.
yeah.
But here, let's take it in the fitness world, right? In the fitness world, if you want to get somebody in great shape, you have to create a strategy. And that strategy is based on that individual, right? Like your body type, your style, your, resources that you have available in money and time, and how near you are to a gym, your allergies, your injuries. Like, we got to look at all of it. And then from there, we say, okay, by the way, that's all your SWOT analysis, right? So you go, okay, cool. This is who you are. Let's create a strategy to get you in the best shape possible. And then what you do is you only go to one person, and it's the only person you go to is somebody that can help cook the meals. That's it.
Right.
No, there's nobody helping you create the real workout strategy, the rest time, the hydration, or even how much you should be having in each meal and the time space in between each meal. None of that. This guy, all he does is make the meals. But you go to him and you say, hey, you need to make these meals for me. Okay, what do you suggest? And they go, well, typically this is what we do with all the meals, that all the people that we work with, we do this type of meal. Great, do it. And then when they don't lose weight, they're like, what the hell, man? You guys suck. Yeah. No, they don't. Now, here's where that person could have leveraged that person is if they, instead of delegating the strategy, which they should never do because that's not their thing, they're not good at that, delegate the execution of the making of the meals. The CEO, especially of a company of this size, a gym or a studio doesn't have the revenue and the profits to be able to afford a really smart marketing mind in-house. They just don't. So the CEO needs to own the marketing strategy. It has to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't take insight from their team. They should, right? Get intel from their team, from their members, all that stuff. But as far as the strategy goes, this is what this person does. And then from there, he can delegate the execution of certain components to different people. And maybe it's paid ads. We've got one guy, I think he's actually listening right now, according to him liking it, because I'm looking at this on my Facebook group. And his name's Delphin. Now, I've watched his business go from 45,000 to, like, I think he touched 117,000. He's averaging right around 100. Okay. Here's the interesting thing. He's been right around 100 now for about 5, 6, 7 months. He hasn't run a paid ad the whole time.
Awesome.
Not one paid ad. But how? How could you do that? How could you do it without marketing? He did a lot of marketing. He just didn't run a paid ad. That's one thing he just didn't do out of the 1,000 things you could do. So the strategy is not, if a general is running a strategy to take an army and win a war, the strategy isn't, we need to get a lot of guns and bullets and shoot. No, the strategy is, okay, here's where they're weak. We know that on this day, this is their holiday. Because that's their holiday, they're going to be drunk. We're going to attack them in the morning, 5 a.m. at the break of dawn. They're going to be so hungover. We're going to have half the group go this way, half the group go that way. Because with that hill, you can't see it. This group is going to be great at this. This group is going to be great at this. And then we're going to come together and they're going to go, yeah, but what about the guns and bullets? We don't need them. Right? Yeah, but isn't that how you win wars? You can use them if you want, but it's not necessary. This strategy doesn't need that.
Yeah, and so better yet, they would have bought the beer for the guys that drank, right?
Yeah, that could be part of the strategy, right? Or that's a tactic within the strategy, right? So, but ultimately, we have to go, okay, as a gym, where are all the ways that I can increase revenue, which is marketing, right? It's the main function. What are all the ways I can increase revenue right now? Well, let's see. One of them is pricing, right? Man, I haven't increased pricing in about 1.5 years. And when I did, it was weak. So I can bump this up on new members. That's one thing. I could also bump it up On existing members, well, we got 220 members. We could bump on pricing on average by $30 per person. We're going to have about 3% attrition. That's about average. But with the 97% of people that paid the new price, we just added about $8,000 in monthly revenue. It's a pretty good deal. That's $100,000 a year. Great. What would we expect from a paid agency to do in order to get that same result? We just did it right here. Boom, one day, done. And by the way, that's not rare. We've got hundreds of gyms that do this in one day, just like that. We have one gym that every quarter increases pricing on existing members, every quarter. So it's not only possible, it's being done. It's probable, it's just not being done enough. Okay, cool. We can increase pricing. What else can we do? Well, let's see. Well, only 60% of our members are in our highest tier program, the unlimited plan. And of the other remaining 40%, more than half of them are doing 1 time a week, and the rest are doing 2 times a week. If we were able to take 50% of this group and upgrade them, and 50% of that group and upgraded them, we just got another $6,000-$7,000 per month. That's another 75 grand right there. Boom, that's marketing. That is marketing. What else could we do? Well, the average gym in this industry, we should be doing about 10 to 15% of our revenue from ancillary sales. We're selling like only a couple $100 and we got 50,000 monthly revenue. That means we should be doing about $500 to $7,500 a month, $5,000 to $7,500. Why don't we do that? And the margins there are incredible. About 40 to 50%, depending on what you're selling. Great. We can get that up to just industry good. That right there is another $60,000 to $75,000 a year. Right? Just like that. Boom. We're already 200 some thousand. What else can we do? Well, with the leads that we're already generating, how can we increase our book rate, our show rate, our close rate? But Mike, isn't that sales? I thought we were talking about marketing. Sales is under the marketing umbrella. It's part of it. Just fixing these things alone. Well, what about at the point of sale? I heard there's gyms in Mike's program that average 7 referrals at the point of every sale. By the way, his name's Andrew. He's in a company called Soldier Fit. He averages 7 referrals at the point of every sale he makes. What if we just got 3? We made 30 sales last month. That's 90 leads right there. If we convert a third of those and get 90 leads and a third of those, that's infinite return. Wow, that's really good too. By the way, have we run a paid ad yet, Michael? We haven't even run a paid ad yet. We haven't even talked about it. We're just doing all the other stuff. We got B2B. We've got closeout opportunities. There's so many things that our clients do that is marketing. And it's not a diet pill. They learn the game. And when you know the game, you don't need a pill. And actually, you get disgusted. A real fitness guy hates diet pills because he knows it's weak. A real business owner that understands marketing wants to vomit when he sees those ads like, we'll not only generate the leads for you, we'll book the leads for you, we'll close the leads for you.
All the time.
Yeah. You know why? Because just like everyone wants the diet pill, everyone wants the diet marketing too. The problem is they're both pretty toxic and it could hurt you. And it's better to just know the game.
So here's the thing that I'm listening to you talk and I'm just like, yep, totally agree. And then it's in the back of my mind, I'm being my, prior version of me. And I'm also being, being aware of the listeners on this, that listen to this podcast and the ones that are coming to me, asking me questions. And I by no means am a professional marketer, certainly not even in comparison to the, can't light a match to what you're doing. So, but the commonality is that they're not doing these things. And then when you tell them, hey, put together a strategy, here are all these other things you can do. The responses are, how do I get referrals? How am I going to talk to somebody to get a referral to encourage them to actually do that? And they don't have the language or verbiage or the finesse to have that dialogue with the customer who comes in that just signed that membership. Because they some of them are just relying, they're order takers. They're just relying on people walking in the door. Mm-hmm. So that's one issue. The other issue that I see is when you're saying raise prices, they're going, but they might leave. So how do you prep your clients for that? Right.
Well, it's easy. I'll tackle the second one because that's a breeze. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were recommending to increase pricing. This is before we had, the 360 program and the community and all the gyms that we work with all together in one room all the time, right? That was before that. And everyone said the same thing. Like, what if they leave? What if they leave? It's like panic mode. I know the truth. Pros know the truth, but everyone that hasn't really done it's freaked out. So then what we did was we started doing these events, and we do them every quarter. It's a GSC cons we were talking about. And I got somebody on stage. Her name is Serena, and she went up on stage and she raised pricing on everyone, all existing members, by a decent amount. She had less than 2% of her database cancel. That means, now, by the way, people freak out about that because they think about the ones they lost. Right. So let's say if you have 200 members, you had 4 people cancel, and you're thinking about those 4. You're like, oh, God, another one. We got another one. We got 2 today. Great. So you had 4 people cancel, and you had 196 people pay a higher price. Do the math and tell me if you won or lost. By the way, you now have a new price for going forward. Right. In fact, I use ChatGPT. And I actually put a video up on our YouTube channel. For those of you that aren't following me on YouTube, just go to Loud Rumor, search Loud Rumor. And it's probably like a week or 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I showed how to use ChatGPT to increase pricing. And what you use ChatGPT for is you say, this is how many members I have. I want to increase pricing by this much. How many members can I afford to lose in order for me to be able to break even with this decision? And it'll tell you, and you'll be surprised. It'll be like, you have to lose 46 clients. And you're like, oh, I'm never going to lose 46. And here's the actual data. So, the actual data is in our community, which is tons of gyms, less than 3%. It's like 2 point something percent, less than 3% cancellation rate. And we've had at least a dozen that have had 0 cancellations. One of them, on our YouTube channel, again, it's on our podcast, ours is the GSD show. I interviewed Laurel from TriFit Wellness. She increased pricing from $149 to $199, 0 cancellations. From $199 to $249, 0 cancellations. 6 months later, from $249 to $299, 0 cancellations. She's now at $349, 0 cancellations. Now, is that a unique story? Yeah, that's why I told it. But it's not so unique that you're going to get 18% cancellation. Unless you're a jerk about it and you have bad service and you're charging like $8 a month and now you go to $200 a month. But if you're just going up if you think about the average person that's paying $119 a month, going up by $20, $139, that's in their same bracket of expense. Like, that same person can afford both. It's not like, you know what, Michael, at 119, I was able to swing it, but at 139, I got to put food on the table. I got kids to feed. No, it's the same to that person. That person, it's the same bucket. Now that 119 to 399 might be a little different, but you can go from 119 to 169 and you probably will still maintain under 5%, 4% cancellation, where you can afford probably like at that big of a price jump, you could probably afford like 15 to 20% cancellation, and you're not going to have that.
That's good.
So
yeah,
my gyms are convinced. We had over 100 gyms raise pricing last year or this year, the last 12 months. But why? Because they see other people do it. The question is not how, it's who. So you said, how do I do this? No, it's not how do I do it. Who do I know that's done it? And how do I learn from them? And our people are doing it. Some people, like I said, on a quarterly basis. So it's really not tricky. It's the unknown that we're afraid of, not the people canceling. It's the unknown.
So what's the conversation that they have with the clients? Or are they just sending out an email blast? Hey,
email blast. Up? It's literally that simple. A lot of people think it's got to be this complicated, heart to heart. This is why we're doing it. Inflation's tough. The economy. We got trainers are getting more. You don't have to mention any of that shit. Just matter of fact it. It's literally that simple. Now, keep in mind, you're professional. The email is written professionally. We've got a few different templates that work depending on your modality, but it's really you don't have to justify it. You don't have to address all the reasons why. This is what we're doing. We're excited about the future and what we're going to be building.
So I assume on the product side, right? I mean, if you guys are doing this, you probably want to have a good product or service. Right? You can't be
Of
offering
course.
shit and then expect people to, pay
Yeah.
more. The value's got to
Yeah.
be there. And then can they do this even if they don't have a good membership agreement or service agreement in place? Can they just send that email? Is that okay?
No, they got to be doing business right. Like you can't be
Okay.
running a hobby. Like this has to be a real business where people are in the CRM and they're running through the merchant and processing account, and they got a contact record within your database, and then yeah, you just raise pricing. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The only way that would be wrong is if you have some language in the contract saying that they're locked into that price forever, then
Right.
which you should never do. But raising price is a normal part of business. YouTube Premium just raised their pricing on me by 12%. It was $15.99. Now it's $18.99. Netflix has raised pricing on me. My cleaning ladies raised pricing on me.
Multiple times.
Everyone's raised pricing. Guys, it's 2023. Like inflation's been insane the last 3 years. You're going to run out of business if you don't.
So how do they get the referrals? I mean, outside of going to GymCon, because they're going to learn a ton of stuff there. But
yeah, so there's eight ways that you can. Yeah, there's 8 ways you can generate referrals. The top 3 ways to get them are, number 1, point of sale referrals for sure. And so that is at the point of sale. There is a process, right? So you've got a sheet. It's nicely designed.
Mm-hmm.
It's got spaces 1 through 5. And you basically let them know that, hey, working out's better with a friend. We're actually part of your membership. One of the promos we have is you're going to get 5 gold passes or VIP passes, whatever you want to call it. So here's what I want you to do. Take out your phone real quick. Take out their phone. You say, so open up your contact list. Yep. Okay, great. I'm going to go get your paperwork. I'll be right back. Just pick 5 names, put them in here. No more than 5, but no less than 5. Get 5 names on here. And when I come back, I'll get you your golden passes as well. And I'll have everything you need. Sound good? I'll be right back. You go, come back. There's always at least 2. And then from there you say, hey, we only got 2. So let's get 3 more. Who else do you know? Now, anybody listening is going, oh my God, that sounds pushy. Yeah, it does to a person that because right now it's a faceless member. You're thinking of me right now and make-believe person that doesn't really exist. Not the person you just high-fived, you've been smiling with, you helped, she said, oh, this was so great, you guys made some jokes. It's actually a really good relationship. So a lot of people struggle with role-playing tough stuff because
they get so uncomfortable.
There's a faceless prospect. But with a real person, a human to human, it's actually fine. And you know what the funny thing is? It's not my guess. This is proven. This is done over and over and over. And this is actually how the top 5% grow. Because if you get 30 members and you get 3 referrals from each one of them, you just got 30 members, you get another 90 leads. If you close 1/3 of those, you got another 30. You got another 90 leads if you get 3 more from each one of them. And it just keeps going. And then you're compounding that infinite ROI with next month's infinite ROI because you're going to get new people through whatever marketing you're doing there. And it just keeps compounding. There's no other way. No gym is going to go from 30K to 90K with just paid ads without referrals and active, a real referral marketing campaign. They're not going to do it. And I know that because I was doing paid ads. Here's what everyone wants. Everyone's saying they want a lower cost per lead. I just want a lower cost per lead. How do we get more leads at a lower price? What price are you thinking? Less than $5. Okay. Well, here's a funny thing. Back in 2015, 16, 17, they were getting leads for about $1. And guess what? They were no bigger than they are today. So if the real secret is just more leads at a lower price, how come everyone didn't blow up when leads were 50 cents to $1.50 in 2016, 2017? Because it's not. That's why.
Yeah. The other thing that, as you're talking about this, I'm going back to the days of selling memberships and personal training, and I still work with people on sales techniques on the personal training side, and it's always, part of the thing that I believe is giving that member something to do, so they're not hemming and hawing, because they could potentially still be on the fence, and you want them actively thinking about the next thing, because if there's that awkward silence where you're typing in, entering stuff into the computer, you're not talking to them, and or you're not giving them something else to do, like giving you referrals, you could potentially allow them enough time to think about, well, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to sign up?
Well, that's already done because you don't ask for the referrals until the credit card swiped.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. You got to get the commitment first, and then you go from there.
I love that. So,
And then the other one is we have a play where people are literally generating 100 leads in less than 1 day. Less than 1 day. On average. So it's called a refer and receive play, but it's kind of like on dynamite. So it just happens faster. If anybody, we actually have this pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So anybody listening, if you just go to the top of our Facebook page, it's a video right there. Just watch
awesome.
it, and then you'll learn the play. But I don't want to go into too much depth here. But ultimately, it's been done with dozens and dozens of studios. Some people, because it does depend on the amount of members you have, some studios only generate like 30 to 50 leads in a day for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I'm over here. I'm anchored at 100. Some people have done 150. So for me, 30 to 50 is not a lot, but it is a lot for somebody that's only getting maybe like 30 to 50 a month, right? Which is very low, like very low.
You're waiting for walk-in traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not generating it, if you're not finding a way to generate, I mean, unless you're super high ticket, but unless you're not generating like 100 plus leads a month on your own without paid ads, it's hard. It's very hard.
So if you're not taking notes, I'm just going to recap a couple things. So, the first one is referrals. Those are simple things that you can do. There's several ways to get referrals, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Then the other one, if you're raising your prices, to Mike's point, raise it a little bit, stay within your window. And guess what? You're going to generate the revenue. And he's done it over and over and over. It's proven. And then after that, maybe you got some money to actually start doing some paid advertising. So, speaking about the paid advertising, Mike, I mean, you said earlier, there's a lot of these ads out there, we'll do everything for you. Get my swipe file, the proven ad formula, get my framework. What do you have to say about, because whether they're good or they're not, I personally don't think they're a true agency because they're really maybe they're good at one thing, but what is it do you think that stuff works? And I see the same stuff over and over. It drives me nuts, but I do see people that are using the same stuff over and over. And for whatever reason, they keep running it.
Yeah. Well, define works. What does works mean?
Get some return on investment. Okay. So they pay for something and they're getting their money back or more.
Yeah. If you're looking for a return on investment, you can get a return. But if you're looking to grow your gym, like you might need more than just a return, like we got to look at the whole thing. So for example, let's say you spent $3,000 with an agency, including paid ad spend and their fee. And let's say they got you, depends on how you look at it. If you look at it like a CFO, you would look at lifetime value. If you're looking at it like small business owner that has cash flow challenges, you're looking at it like today, meaning if you, let's say, charge $150 a month and you have a 10% attrition on average, your 10% attrition means you retain members for about 10 months. That's the formula. 1 divided by the attrition percentage is the amount of months you average retain them. So if you only retain people for 10 months and because you have a 10% attrition and you charge $150 per month and you don't have ancillary sales, that means your average lifetime value is about $1,500, 150 times 10 months, right? So you go, cool. Return on investment is 3 members or more. If I get 3 members, because I'm paying $3,000, if I get 3 members, I made $4,500 long term. I could justify that. But most people aren't looking at it like a CFO because they do have cash flow challenges. Once you start making more money, you can a little easier. So you go, okay, well, I'm paying $3,000 to get a return on investment. I need to get at least 20 clients because 20 clients would be $3,000, right? $150 times 20 is 3,000. So you'd say, okay, I need at least 20 clients or 21. But then, of course, next month you're killing it and then everything's great, right? But the truth is, most people will get like 5 to 7 or 8 clients from digital ads, and they call it a loss. And the reason they call it a loss is because they didn't make 3,000 back that month. But if they begin the process of compounding, and if they got referrals from those 5 to 7 people, let's say 6 people you got 3 referrals from each one. You just got 18 referrals that you would have never gotten if you didn't run those paid ads. And those 18 referrals generated another 6 members, which you would have never gotten. And those 6 generated another 18, which you would have never gotten, which gets you another 6. And it's just infinite from there. The problem is people don't know how to multiply. And we've got a phrase at Loudon. Our members know it by heart. Amateurs add, professionals multiply. And so we're just adding members. We're subtracting members with attrition. But if you're multiplying members and we're subtracting, we're scaling. That's how it works. So you get 6 members, you go, man, I only made, 300. Yeah, you only made $900 and I spent 3,000. That sucks. No, it doesn't suck. Like you got in the door, and next month you just got an additional $900 towards your marketing spend. And now we go from there. And if you run that in like 6-7 months, if you'd even do referrals, you got your ROI. And if you think about anything else in the world, if you bought a house and got an ROI in 6-7 months, you'd be happy. If you went to college and spent money in college, you got an ROI in 6-7 months. If you put it on Bitcoin, doesn't matter. Any other world, a return on investment inside of a 1 to 2 year period is really good and brag worthy. But here it's like, I need it month 1 or 2, or else like you're raking me. It's crazy. So, but the funny thing is you can multiply everything that comes your way. If everyone knew that, just that, and put the real effort into that, there would be no problems. I know I see it. That's how our gyms are growing by 89.6% every year. Why? Because they know the game. They're not delegating one piece away. And it's not part of a real big strategy. It's just no strategy. Just delegate it. It's weird. It's actually weird when you think about like, because hiring an agency is smart. Because to hire an employee to do it, let's say a decent marketer, meaning they don't have vast experience, a decent marketer, they're going to cost you about $5 to $6 grand a month. Decent salary. Then you got payroll, tax expense, and add another 15%. So maybe $7-8 grand a month. That's what they're going to cost you. An agency is going to cost you like $1,500 a month. They both are going to cost you ad spend. So it's going to cost you $1,500 a month. You could totally justify an agency fee, but just like you would do with an employee, you don't tell them, go, strategy, and figure it out. You create the strategy and tell them what they need to do. With an agency, you're just delegating the execution for a fraction of the cost. But some of the agencies are so ignorant to marketing.
How do they
don't even know?
Go ahead. I interrupted you. I think there's a delay.
I would say some of the agencies are so ignorant to what marketing really is that they really think what you think, which is you hired me to do your marketing for you. They really believe that too. Because all you had to do was spend $500 on a Tai Lopez course and you're a marketer, quote unquote. You don't have to know the game. You just have to know as much as the gym owner that's hiring you in order to sell them. Yeah. You have to be better at sales and marketing.
So that's where I wanted to go with this, because you mentioned that, and the most of the gym owners, most of the businesses are small businesses, right? So they go, well, I got to wear 10 different hats, and I'm only a C student in each one of these categories. How can they become a marketing mind? Because sometimes they're hearing you talk. You're a pro, right? And they're going, all right, how do I get to download the same knowledge outside of going to GSDCon and reading the same amount of books that Mike's read, and curating all this information and going to school and testing? How can they be the marketing mind in their business and have that strategy, put that formula together without constantly practicing that squirrel marketing process?
Well, so when you say like, how can I get there without going to GSDCon or without doing the stuff that Mike's saying or whatever, I don't know why you would. And by the way, this isn't, it sounds like it's a sales thing. It's not, because if there's another program out there that does as good as we, I don't really care. What I'm getting at is, if my son is really into basketball and he said, how do I get great at basketball? Great, not good. Not like he can play with his friends. Great. I'm sending him to a camp to be surrounded around a bunch of other great kids that want to be great. Just being in the proximity of all these people that are working on these things and testing these things and learning these things and dedicated to these things, just by being in the room regularly, he's going to become fluent. How do you get fluent in any language? You go hang out in the country,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, so when you say without going to GSDCon, I don't know. Like for me personally, the number one secret to success for me is hang out with people that are successful and or are dedicated to being so.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do that, it's hard to stay committed to new habits. But it's easy when everyone around you has those. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's giving new ways to do it. So I would really say, whether it's GSDCon or I mean, our 360 program or something else, no matter what, attach yourself to people, many people, not just like one, quite a few people that are successful, that are committed to continuously being successful and are testing all the things that you're nervous about because you've never done them before. That's like the number one thing.
Right.
Because I can read all the books. I'll tell you, I wanted to get into real estate, and I did. I eventually did, or as an investor. And I read 13 books on real estate investing, and I was still scared shitless to do anything. And I knew so much. And I got with this one mentor of mine who is involved in a ton of real estate, and that's not his thing. He's an investor. And I start telling him, and he's quizzing me, and I'm answering all his questions. I know the answers to all his questions. He goes, "And you've never done a deal?" I said, "No." He's like, "Why?" I go, "I don't know. I'm still kind of scared." He goes,
Yeah.
"You know what you need to stop doing? You need to stop reading books. You need to stop learning. And you need to just get in the game. And you need to hang around. Like, do a deal with me. Do a deal with someone that does deals. Be in the room with people that do deals because you need to get in there. You need to get in the game. You can't just learn how to play basketball." There's a great book, a great sales book by David Sandler, and it's called "You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar." You can't. The kid's got to get on the bike. He's got to feel awkward, uncomfortable. He's got to be a little scared. He's got to maybe even fall a little bit. But you got to be in it. And if you want to learn the bike real fast, hang around all the kids that ride bikes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as like how to learn all this stuff, be around all the people that know it. You can't not learn it. If you can't not learn Italian living in Italy, you unless you're like my grandmother, she still doesn't know English, but in the US, but like that's just how it works. So that would be my fastest way. Outside of that, I mean, podcasts, books, all those are like good plan Bs, right? But you might do what I did. You learn a ton of stuff and you never actually get it done. And so I think proximity is absolutely my at least for me, it's been the thing that's helped me the most, being around the right people.
So I know we're running out of time, and I know you've got other stuff to get to, but I have one more question for you.
Mhm.
What is it that they should? There's this number, this kind of arbitrary. It's not really arbitrary, but there's this number. 5% spend in marketing, 10% spend in marketing, of whatever your gross sales are. So, what is it that you found is that magic number? Of course, you got to do all the other stuff, right? All the other stuff that's part of the marketing strategy. But when you're spending in marketing, what have you seen be the kind of magic number that continues that growth forward?
You know fitness pretty well, yes?
Yeah, I would say so.
What's the magic number as to how many calories I should eat?
Yeah, very good. Touche.
What's the answer to that question?
Yeah, it's different for everyone. It's different for every business, right? It's different for every person.
If I'm talking to a gym, I got gym A and gym B. I got two gyms. And one of them has a goal to get 60 new members, and the other one's got a goal to get 10.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change my marketing budget?
Oh, yeah.
If one of them's got working capital of $2,000 in the bank and the other one's got $20,000, does that change my marketing budget?
Oh, absolutely.
So there's no set amount. Now, there is generally a set amount once you start making money and you're like at corporate type level and you got cash flows going and you're hitting great profit numbers, you're scaling great. Then typically what you see is about 14, 15%. And that's where, you dedicate maybe 3 to 5% to labor, people that actually will get it done, and maybe about 10% to ad spend. That seems to be right. But for most of the listeners and most of the people that I meet for the first time in this space, they should not follow that at all. They should really go, let's work backwards. what has our typical customer acquisition cost been? Well, when we look at all the marketing, let's say easy numbers, we spent $5,000 in marketing and we got 10 members. That means on average, we're spending $500 to acquire a member, right? That's expensive. That should never happen. So let's say it's more like you got 20 members, which means your average customer acquisition cost is $50, right? $250. Okay, cool. So my average acquisition cost is $250. How many members do I want? I want 50. All right. Well, if you want 50 members and you pay on average $250, that means you may want to spend $12,500. Holy shit, that's a lot. Well, it is a lot unless you learn the game of multiplication. So maybe we could just get a third of that from paid ads and we commit to referrals and organic and guerrilla marketing to generate the rest of the business to keep our overall budget down. We've got to get creative. See, the thing is, there's a difference between an expert and a master. They're two different things. What would you say Michael Jordan was, an expert or a master?
Master.
What would you say?
No doubt.
Master. Everybody would say master,
Grandmaster.
right? Maybe grandmaster,
Yeah.
right? The truth is, in the definition, he's actually more of an expert, not a master. And here's why. Experts say, here's what I did. Masters say, here's what you should do. And a lot of people are, here's how I grew my gyms, here's how I did this. But it's not about that. Michael Jordan was only able to really help one person be really successful. Everybody else, I mean, he just sold his team. He made the playoffs once in 13, 15 years, something like that. He's only made one person really, really successful. That's Kobe Bryant. Why? Because he said, here's what I did. Well, that works for Kobe because Mike's 6'6", Kobe's 6'6". Mike's a shooting guard, Kobe's a shooting guard. Mike's got the same type of game that Kobe does. So what I did will work for you. But when he wanted to talk to a point guard or a center or a power forward or anybody with different things, he couldn't help any of them be successful. Right? Now, you take a guy like Greg Popovich, one of the best coaches in the NBA history, if not the best. Never even played a game in the NBA. So he's never going to say, here's what I did. He's going to say, here's what you should do. Bill Belichick never played a game in the NFL, never played football in college. He played lacrosse in high school. Bill Belichick, one of the best NFL coaches in history. So he's not going to say, here's what I did. He's going to say, here's what you should do. Mike Tyson's coach, Custamato, nobody would know him if it wasn't for Tyson. Nobody would know Adele's coach if it wasn't for Adele. You may not even know her now. But the point is, a master doesn't say, here's what I did, follow it. An expert says that. A master, a teacher, a coach, they say, here's what you should do based on you and how you could be successful. So that 10 to 15% thing, that won't work. That's an expert advice. We have to go, where do you got available to you? How can we leverage it? Maybe we don't even do paid ads.
Right.
Make sense?
I love it, Mike. I love it. Guys, if you haven't been taking notes, I encourage you to re-listen to this or rewatch it because there's a lot of things in here that you're going to get some value out of. And if you don't have the money today to invest in, going to GSD Con or investing in Mike's program, Loud Rumor, the reality is that if you do some of the things he mentioned, you're going to raise your revenue, you're going to increase your bottom line and your top line. You're going to have some money to actually go invest and learn more and then implement those things and execute on it and become great, become a master. And then eventually you can be the teacher. So everyone, thanks again for listening. Hey, Mike, where can they find you? I know where to find you, but I want them to hear it directly from you. So it's not, third person.
Well, that's what I was going to say. For anybody that can't afford to work in our program right now, which most people can, you'll be surprised. But if you can't, we have more free trainings on YouTube where we go into detail than anyone on the planet to help gym owners grow. It's all free. Just go to YouTube. Okay, that's number one. And number two, what I'll tell you is most of our clients have come from us from our YouTube channel because we were able to help them grow to a point where they wanted to now get into this big part. So you can start there. And then loudrumor.com. That's our website. So you can search Loud Rumor on YouTube or you can go to loudrumor.com. We got a bunch of free stuff there too.
Awesome. You guys heard it here first with Mike, Arce. Mike, thanks so much. Really appreciate you having me on, and it was a pleasure and an honor to have you here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.